Hello, hello everybody. Welcome to another 3-card pick with me. And today the topic is going to be love and relationships. So this is very geared towards romance, so I hope you enjoy. And this will apply if you are already coupled or if you're single. I'm using this for both, and it's also going to be timeless. So yes, let's go ahead. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to get more content, make sure you check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing. And as always, in the description box, there is a link to my podcast, to my meditations, all of the links to work with me one-on-one if you're needing some additional support and all of that good stuff. So make sure you check out all of the stuff that I offer you for free, and if you'd like to work with me one-on-one. Without further ado, let me lay these cards out and then we will get started. Okay, so maybe you have a specific question that you have in mind, or you're asking about a specific person, or perhaps this is just advice or guidance. So just tune in, whichever pile is calling to you. Deep breath into the diaphragm. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the affirmator for pile number 1. Resilience. Sticks and stones may break my bones, and unkind words can somehow drain every bit of joy and color from my once rosy life, but nothing can ever permanently damage the real me. I love myself, I cherish myself, and I vow to remember that I'm always camped out in the depths of myself, even when I don't feel like very much of myself. This is actually referring to old relationships. So if you're healing from old relationships or old experiences, as well as parental wounds. So even if you haven't had a relationship yet, or you're in your first relationship, the same applies in terms of healing the original wounding around that. Okay, so this is just a call to love yourself regardless, and understand that what you may have been told or experienced in the past is not an indication of your worth, and that's where the resilience is really shining through. And then we also have the Hierophant, boundaries, order, and structure. So the Hierophant is really good at keeping us grounded and secure within ourselves. And so I'm just getting that more than anything, it's safe for you to set boundaries, and that might actually be the tool that you want to focus on most in romance. I know it can be counterintuitive because intimate relationships are really, there's a sense of boundlessness to them, but it's still about honoring the parts of yourself that need to be nurtured, that aren't necessarily, it's not necessarily going to come from your partner as far as stimulating that part. So just keep in mind, it does require a holistic approach to this whole thing, and boundaries are really going to support your relationships. Then we have the Father of Swords. This is equivalent to the King of Swords. And what I'm getting from this card is that primarily staying true to what you believe to be the case is how you want to approach relationships, is really having a strong ownership over your crown chakra and your truth, your unique divine truth that is not necessarily true for anyone else, but it's important to keep it in mind for you and to really set boundaries around that. So taking good care of your mind right now is going to be the important piece, and really putting some boundaries around what you're allowing into your mind around relationships, like setting boundaries with people who are giving you advice. If it's unsolicited, setting boundaries with even media, if it's starting to skew your perception or not make you feel good, that's the type of stuff that you want to address as soon as possible to keep your crown shielded from anything that muddies the waters or muddies your perception. So keep that in mind. This is just an important part of weeding out what doesn't resonate with you and what isn't working for you, so you can actually grow and expand into partnership. Okay, and also keeping in mind what's best for you in relationships, not what's best for other people. That's why you have boundaries coming up and you have a lot of autonomy coming up with this King of Swords. All right, pile number 2. Appreciation. I appreciate the unique ways other people show their love rather than compare their ways with my ways. Then I appreciate myself for maturely putting up with people who just can't seem to show love the normal, obvious, universally accepted way. Good job, both of us. So practicing gratitude, like, are there things that are going well, especially for those of you that are in relationships? Is this something where maybe you haven't shown appreciation for the stuff that your partner does for you, or the experiences that you get to have together? This is a time to actually, get mushy, like, with your appreciation. This is the time to do it. And I'm seeing that that's actually going to create more connective tissue in your relationships. And it's also, if you are in an environment with a lot of people who have healthy partnerships, or if partnership is something that's modeled for you in any capacity, or if you have a good community, don't forget to show appreciation for that as well, because it's going to help it expand and actually call in more opportunities. And then we have Two of Wands. It looks like you're kind of creating a relationship roadmap. So maybe there are some things that you and your partner are doing that are making things a little bit more serious or moving them forward. Maybe there's more connection in this that you're trying to map out, because the Two of Wands is like, okay, we have this goal, we have this thing that we're trying to create together, and we need to co-create in order to make that a reality. So the Two of Wands is encouraging you to put your attention on that, whether you're doing this solo. So this could be like manifesting somebody and creating a map for how you're going to step into the best version of yourself in order to receive that partner. Or this is something where you're already building with someone, and so you're in that co-creative process. Either way, the important thing about this is you have your goal, or you have your thing that you want to do. And then you're drawing the roadmap to, okay, how am I going to actualize this? How am I going to step into that fully? And then we have the Daughter of Cups. This is equivalent to the Page of Cups in a normal deck. And so for you, it's being a little bit more transparent around the emotional experience, or around how you feel, whatever that is going to be a good move. It doesn't mean you need to walk around with your heart on your sleeve. That's not always a wise choice. But just honoring your emotions as they come up in relationships, and knowing that your emotional state is what will actually guide your relationships. So if you are constantly in a sour mood, it's going to be much more challenging to call someone in or co-create from that space. So master the internal state first, and then that's what's going to support the relationship, whether it's one that's oncoming or one you're already in. So this is just a call to process your emotions, figure out what's going on with you emotionally, and take steps in order to be the best version of yourself in that capacity. Okay, and then pile number 3. Reliability. I am reliable. When I say I'll do something, I take whatever that something is seriously. This applies to all commitments, even the ones that may have seemed small and insignificant to a less reliable me. From now on, flaking is just for dandruff commercials and cereal factories. I actually, when I see this card, it's not so much about just doing what others want you to do. That's an oversimplification of this card. What I see as far as the reliability piece is your ability to show up for yourself. If you can show up for yourself, you can show up for your partner or in partnership. If you're giving to yourself, you have more to give to others. So look at the ways that you're treating yourself are exactly the way that's going to be reflected in a relationship, right? So if you give to other people exhaustively, to the point where you have no energy, you might be expecting that from others. That's a bad move. So it's all about reciprocation, figuring out your expectations, and also how you're showing up in relationships that's going to bolster your desires. Okay, and then we have the Five of Cups. Really focusing on not punishing yourself. Because here's the thing with the Five of Cups, is it's about becoming overly fixated on either things that have passed or things that have not worked out, or things that are just done and gone. So if you fixate on that, you're not leaving a whole lot of space for things to go well in the future, and that's also something that you want to be careful of. It's not necessarily a bad thing to reflect. You know, I'm not going to make a lump assumption there. But it's when you become fixated on the old, or fixated on just repeating the wound to yourself over and over again. You want to interrupt that and start repairing the relationship within yourself and showing up for yourself first, and paying attention to where your energy and your attention are focused. And that's actually going to paint a picture of what's actually going on in your external reality. So keep that in mind. You can sit all day and night and talk about how horrible things are in your love life. I know that matters of the heart are always the most tender, and they're typically the most challenging. So while yes, you can sit and ruminate for an extended period, that's not actually a good strategy. You're going to want to start adjusting your focus to look on either what is working, or what your needs are, or how you can make that a reality in your relationship, how you can start communicating first, what you can do. Like, use the tools that you have available in order to support yourself internally, as well as make yourself more accessible to your partner, if that makes sense, emotionally. And then we have the Seven of Swords. So there's somewhat of a resistance to being open. And that makes sense, right? Especially if you're healing old wounds. If this Five of Cups is like the fixation on something that has passed or is no longer in your life, anything like that. Then this is just showing there's somewhat of a need to like conceal or hide the things that are going on. So I'm just getting that it's about letting that air out. So either out yourself, or what I mean by that is just communicating around the things that maybe are painful or frustrating. So just keep that in mind. You can always bring things up to the surface and let them air out. And there's way more that you can show up for and that you can do in order to support you and your relationship or oncoming relationship than you realize. So I think it's like there's you have more that you can work with than you might be realizing in this moment. So just stay open to that. Keep all of that in mind for yourself. All right, everybody, that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this reading. Please give it a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it, or send it to somebody if you feel like they need it. And until next time, have a beautiful week, everybody. Don't forget, if you need to work with me, check out the description box for all of the ways to do that and make that happen. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.